they need to show up tonight. They need to play a
Absolutely.
lot better. They need to take advantage of that matchup and make Kirk Cousins uncomfortable. Because
Mhm.
if you let Kirk Cousins throw the football,
That's right.
you're in trouble. I
Yep.
mean, he's accurate. He's got great receivers. If he's got time to throw, they're going to make some big plays.
Sport take on this Eagles Monday, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Welcome back in, everybody. D Gunn, B Brooks, Rob Ellis with you, and joining us right now. You can see him each and every weekday from 8 to 10 on Birds 365 right here on JAKIB Sports. He is the Eagles insider. You can also catch him tonight on the postgame show with our guy D Gunn, Mike Missinelli, Devin Caney, Seth Joyner, and does unbelievable work for the Philly Voice, SI Now, you name it. John McMullen, what's happening, John?
Doing well. How are you guys? Happy game day.
You pacing yourself, John? It's a long one, man.
Wow,
You're
it
cracking
is
it out
long.
early and you're going
Yeah.
late, brother.
I might go 24 hours. Who
I
knows?
like it.
Jeez.
Who knows?
I
Hey,
like
John,
it.
question for you, John. How do you feel about covering Monday night games? I know how much you like football, like
it's
the rest
awful,
of us. How do you feel?
Gun. It's
Yeah,
awful.
thank you. Thank you.
And by the way,
Thank you.
if you're going to stagger Monday night games, which makes no sense in week 2, but
Right.
if you're going to stagger Monday night games, what about East Coast, West Coast? Give us a 7 o'clock start.
Thank you.
And it's
Have
10:30
like
or something.
Arizona, Las Vegas, you
Yeah.
know, put that on Monday. Makes no sense. But but you know, and nobody cares what reporters think, nor should they.
Right.
But fans, I mean, I assume some fans have to go to work tomorrow too, so they're getting all juiced up right now. They need some time to get ready to get back to the real world. It's terrible. It's
Jamie,
See, I love the people who tell us, man, I wish I could do what you do, covering Monday Night Football.
Oh,
no, you don't.
No, you don't.
No, you don't.
Mac,
No.
look at this though. I can remember doing a Monday night game, and we had a breakfast on Broad. We had to be there at 4:00. So there were times I stepped off the stage at 1:30, 2 o'clock in the morning, and I wouldn't go home.
Yeah,
I would just go take a nap in the office.
Yep,
a 2-hour nap in the office. Get up, do the show. I wouldn't even. I mean, go home for it. Go home to go get back on the road to come back.
Yeah.
So it was like I did post game. I just stayed there, fell asleep for 2 hours, got back up, and went back in.
So you didn't even
I couldn't even call in the righty, huh?
You didn't even shower?
No, Jillian, Rob, and them. I sat right next to Rob too.
Oh,
he
man.
had to smell it. Yeah, he had all of this coming.
You know what? If they win, it doesn't smell nearly as bad.
Yeah, but
they weren't winning back then.
Yeah,
but see, Rob,
the whole set stunk. You're right,
dude.
Yeah.
Rob, there's no excuse for that because the NBC office had a big, beautiful, spacious shower. He could have showered in.
Do you
Man.
think
That shower is reserved for certain people.
Yeah.
Right,
that I used to have an office with a shower. I don't. Yeah, that's. Anytime there's a community, I went to college. I'm done. Anytime there's a community aspect to a shower, you want to avoid that at all costs.
No question.
Yeah, but Mac, these were professional people. It's not like a college shower or a locker room shower.
Yeah, it's still shaky.
These showers are hardly used. They were pristine.
Still shaky.
No, thank you.
What?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow.
Just
Man,
a little deodorant. Just crank it out.
I remember somebody that shall remain nameless in a newsroom. So we're working all night. And I walk in the bathroom. It's like 2, 3 in the morning, and he's shaving. I looked at him like, "What the? Come on, dude."
Yeah, that's a weird move.
Yeah.
Where are you going at 3 in the morning? You got to make sure you're. Yeah. You don't want to. Actually, don't ask those questions.
Yeah.
Actually, you're better off.
What are you doing there?
Yeah, I know. All right, John. So if I had to ask you, give me the one, I'm talking one thing that has to happen from your perspective for the Eagles to win, what would it be?
Beat up Garrett Bradbury on the interior of the Vikings offensive line. Really poor pass protector, hasn't lived up to the billing, former first-round pick. A lot of people were saying he's the next Jason Kelce. He's really athletic. From that part of it, they got it right, but he just gets pushed back all the time. And, you think about that game Javon Hargrave had in Detroit, Fletcher Cox had in Detroit. They need to show up tonight. They need to play a lot better. They need to take advantage of that matchup and and make Kirk Cousins uncomfortable. Because if you let Kirk Cousins throw the football, you're in trouble. I mean, he's accurate. He's got great receivers. If he's got time to throw, they're going to make some big plays.
Hey, John, how much will this Eagles defense miss Barnett in the rotation, or do you think Teron Jackson is that guy that can step up and fill that void?
Well, I don't think he's Derek Barnett, but, you know, fans don't like Derek Barnett. I think, you know, Derek would have been very good as a sort of third rotational end. Really fourth because I consider Hassan Reddick more of a defensive end than anything else. But in that kind of role, that's really impressive depth. So you never got to see it this year. You're not going to get to see it. So you're never going to know. But I think it would have really shown up for the Eagles later in the season. But Teron Jackson's got some upside. And, you know, I don't worry about that as much as some of the issues going on with this team. I think he'll be fine, but he's not Derek Barnett. So you lose a little bit, but again, we're talking fourth rotational end. So
right.
You're nitpicking a little bit at that point. Everybody has injuries, and unfortunately for Derek, a really difficult one for him, but the Eagles should be able to overcome it. I think ultimately they will overcome it.
John, more last week, I'm talking Detroit game, more on preparation, scheming, et cetera, on the defensive side, or players who are being paid a lot of money just not coming through?
Players mainly because of, look, if you don't miss 14 tackles, you win that game going away.
No question. Exactly.
You know, but the back-ended part of that is, well, maybe if you prepare better, you don't miss tackles. So, but I don't think that's.
You mean as in camp? You mean as in
yes,
camp?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. Yes.
And I think that's an organizational decision. I don't think that's a Nick Sirianni, Jonathan Gannon decision. So, look, if they miss 14 tackles again this week, they're going to lose. You know, so when everybody was going crazy over the defensive performance, if 14 turns into 4, you win that game going away. So as long as you sort of button that up, I think it solves a lot of problems on the defensive side of the football. But the second part of this is, you know, maybe people finally are getting it. Detroit they're not the same team that the Eagles. I think a lot of fans went into that thinking about 44-6 on Halloween last year, thought it was going to be the same team. Not even close. They have one of the best offensive lines in football. You saw some of their playmakers, and you saw them beat up on Washington yesterday. They're a better football team than people think they are.
Yes.
So that was part of it as well.
Yep.
Well, you know, that's what I said. That's why I really wanted to see how they were going to play against the Commanders, because it would give me an accurate assessment on what they really are and not necessarily looking at what I saw on Hard Knocks. And I knew that this team wasn't as bad as people were saying. You know, everybody's thinking we're just going to beat them like we beat them last year. No, that team got decidedly better.
Yes,
and I like
did.
the matchup that they put on the defensive side of the ball with Aiden Hutchinson, not just having them on the outside against our 2 all-pro tackles or future all-pro tackle and an all-pro tackle. I thought that he did a masterful job mixing them around, putting them in the inside, making those guards in the inside move their feet. They're not accustomed to doing that. So I think it was just great by Aaron Glenn and how he did it and how he set up run blitzes. So they're not as bad as what people think. And I thought that the way they beat up on the Commanders really, you know, gave me a little peace, a little solace in that whole thing that I was thinking also.
Yeah. And DeAndre Swift, look, I joked that, you know, Dalvin Cook's better than DeAndre Swift, but, you know, there's sort of an overcorrection, right?
Yes.
So they gave up 9 point. Like Dalvin Cook isn't going to average 9.6 yards per carry because they're going to overcorrect towards the running game. So now you got to be worried about, you know, Jefferson getting downfield, Thielen, Osborne. God forbid if it's Jalen Reagor, the city might burn down, but they have a lot of playmakers.
Imagine if he takes a punt. If he takes a punt back, I mean, we should all just like move somewhere.
I'm
If
telling
he takes
you.
a punt back, I'm telling you.
I've been thinking about this.
Oh my God!
Do not let Jalen Reagor be the one to catch a deciding touchdown in this game.
No.
This team will go absolutely bonkers. But I'm glad you brought that
They
name
will
up
lose.
because
He will be crying too, bro. He'd be crying. I told you I was in.
Yeah, the redemption
I told
game.
y'all,
Reagor
Uh-huh.
redemption.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I told you.
he'll kneel down in the end zone, throw his hands up, hold the ball to the
Yeah,
sky,
it'll be like Shawshank
You know,
Redemption.
and
You know, once he
everybody
gets
will
out of
start
jail.
booing and throwing
Yeah.
stuff down out of
Oh,
the stands,
God.
and it's going to be.
Oh, I'm gonna stop,
but
man.
but John,
Stop,
you know,
man.
I'm glad we brought up Rager's name because how much do you think he can help this Vikings defense prepare for the Eagles offense?
I mean, you know, this, and I talked about the Eagles signed Janarius Robinson off
Right.
the Vikings practice squad, and people have this CIA mindset. The Vikings run the same damn scheme defensively as the Eagles. It's Vic
Okay.
Fangio offshoot. So the Eagles already know what they're doing. The Vikings know. The Eagles offense is very simple. It's run pass option. It's, you know, these coaches don't need Jalen Reagor's help to figure out what the Eagles are doing. They're a 1-2 read, high-low offense when it comes to the passing game, run pass option. It's very simple stuff. The difficult part of it is stopping Jalen Hurts because you know you know what he's doing, but that doesn't mean you can stop it. I always go back to Jimmy Johnson when he had, you know, the great teams in Dallas, and he admitted in his book we had 3 running plays. 3. Everybody knew what they were running, but they were running with Emmitt Smith behind Larry Allen and Eric Williams. Go stop it. That people get caught up in scheme and things like that. It comes down to talent, and that's why I say 14 missed tackles. So, you know, everybody's Jonathan Gannon's scheme, blah, blah, blah. Drives me nuts. Well, Vic Fangio did well with that scheme. 12 other teams think it's relevant because they run it, including Minnesota, which gave up 7 points. Taron Rodgers, you know, tackle somebody, and maybe the scheme looks better.
So, John, let's stay with Gannon for a minute, and not even so much schematically, but just generally. And I know last year was vastly different because they didn't have the same personnel or as much, at least. But do you think he's done a good job thus far?
Well, I don't like the scheme from this perspective. One, you know, when everybody fell in love with it, and Vic was in Chicago, you know, nobody could block Khalil Mack. Nobody could block Akeem Hicks. So I always get these fans, this isn't aggressive enough. Well, look damn aggressive when Khalil Mack was running it and Akeem Hicks was running. Same scheme, right?
Yep.
They only rush 4. Umbrella coverage, might be cover 2, might be quarters, might be cover 6, might be cover 8, bunch of different zone coverages. But it looked aggressive because Khalil Mack was always in the backfield. Akeem Hicks was always in the backfield because nobody could block those guys. So the Eagles don't have that kind of talent. We talk about last year. They don't have that kind of talent this year to where they could make this thing run to where it's supposed to run. But the bigger part to me is, and I always say this, I don't want to be the copycat. I want to be the cat that everybody copies.
Right.
I don't like coaches that I don't
Perfect.
like coaches that get in line.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Yep. Good analogy.
Well,
Hey, oh, go ahead, Barry.
I was gonna say this. I wasn't necessarily worried about schematically what they did on defense. I just need those front 4 guys, whoever they are, whether in a 50 front, 30 front, 40 front. I need those guys to go because all of them are paid. All of them that are out there will be paid a lot of money come Monday Tuesday when they pick their check up. But when you look at it, you have Fletcher Cox, $14 million. You've got Hargraves making about $11, $12 million. You've got you've also got Sweat making about the same. You got Hassan Reddick making up there too. When you have that much money allocated to one position, I better see something happen tonight with this pass rush, run defense. It's time for those guys to step up. It's not necessarily a scheme for me. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. That's the vantage point I'm looking at it from.
Yeah, I think it's got to be on the interior tonight. Minnesota has good tackles, really good tackles.
Yeah, Darisaw O'Neal. Yeah.
Yeah. Nick said Lane Johnson was the best right tackle in the world again on Saturday. I agree with him. Number 2 might be Brian O'Neill. He might be number 2. And Christian Darisaul's a lot like Penei Sewell last week. He's only in his second year, but you can tell he's going to be really good. He's really talented, former first-round pick. So I mentioned Bradbury. They also have a rookie starting at right guard, Ed Ingram, who's really talented. He's from LSU, but, he's a rookie. You got to take advantage of that in the second game. So that, to me, is the soft spot. And whether it's Javon or Fletcher or Jordan Davis, they got to make sure that Kirk Cousins is uncomfortable right up the middle. You gotta push that center right in his lap and make sure it's not even about sacks to me. It's about speeding him up.
Yes.
Because he is tremendously accurate. This is a 70% guy if you let him be. So we talk about all those completion percentages, the Derek Carrs of the world last year, and all those 80%. Well, this guy's going to throw for 80+% if you allow him. So they got to make sure he's uncomfortable.
So John, let me ask you this, because back during training camp, Rob went out and bought himself what he has referred to as a GAN wagon. Okay. Now, him and Barrett are firmly in the GAN wagon driver's seats. I said, as I sit here today, I'm hanging off the back rail of it. My feet are flapping in the wind. I'm hanging off the back rail. Are you on the GAN wagon, or are you?
Well, everybody thinks I am. Supposedly, I'm a GAN.
John, we got room, man. Come on.
Yeah.
John,
no.
I love your logic, but are you hanging off the back with me, or are you sitting in the seat with them?
No, I don't like the scheme for the exact reasons. Last year, look, last year, see, here's the thing to me. If you don't have the talent to run what you want to run something else until you get the talent to run what you want.
Right.
That to me defines great coaching. He's just running out the Fangio scheme. Now there's a little tweaks. It's really closer to Brandon Staley. Those two are very close. Really closer to Brandon Staley's version of Vic's scheme. And like I said look, I don't want the follower. I want the leader. And that to me is the biggest issue with Jonathan Gannon. As far as guys tackling, I'm not going to blame that on JG. In fact, if you want to blame that on somebody that's not the players, then you got to blame Howie and the organization, because they're the ones who set up the off-season schedule. I assume that's going to be self-correcting at some point. Again, you can't miss 14 tackles every week. I don't expect them to miss 14 tackles this week. They were the worst tackling team in football in week 1, and they were able to get out with a win, so that's positive. That kind of stuff is self-correcting. How much does Fletcher Cox have left? How much does Javon Hargrave have left, or is he coming off this toe injury? Hassan Reddick did not look like a double-digit sack guy, and he's facing another great right tackle. Maybe he looks better when the competition comes a little bit down. But the players, Kaiser White, everyone. Here's another concern to me, guys. Run support. Reddick, undersized. White, undersized. CJ Gardner-Johnson, undersized. That becomes a problem when you go against teams that can and want to and will run the football.
Yeah, especially if your D-line's not getting it done. If they're getting to that second level, that's a problem. John, how much of – and granted, the Eagles won the game, by the way. But how much –
by the way, exactly.
I know.
Exactly.
It's an afterthought. You won on the road, and it's kind of like it didn't even happen.
Thank goodness they played Detroit the first game.
But that environment was tough, I'm telling you guys.
How much of it is just, man, you could even apply this to the first few weeks. It's just goofy, like weird stuff happens.
Look at Baltimore. I mean, Baltimore, look at all the comebacks yesterday. Arizona, Miami, Cleveland and the Jets, Joe Flacco, Yeah, those first 2 weeks are crazy. And I said it, the Lions, I said it all week on Birds 365. This is one of the best offensive lines in football. When Ragnow was out there, he wasn't even healthy. And he missed yesterday, by the way. The Eagles saw that might be the best offensive line they see all season. That's how good Detroit is.
Exactly. I mean, they have first rounders everywhere.
Yeah.
Both tackles and the center are first rounders.
And they're not healthy, John. That line's not healthy yet.
Yeah.
Big V wasn't even playing. A $50
Big
million
V wasn't playing. Jackson, their other guard, is a Pro Bowl level guard. People don't realize. But all they saw was 44-6. Oh, it's the Lions. Oh, it's the Lions.
Right.
Yeah.
Also, I want to kind of focus on this. They ran a defense that heated up Jalen, not necessarily the way you would send blitzes for passing. They sent run blitzes, and people don't really know how to differentiate between a run blitz and a pass. But he wasn't running necessarily to make Jalen, pass the ball. He was more so stopping the run with the blitz. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can you kind of explain?
Well, he wasn't stopping it, but
right.
they were trying to
They were trying
escaping.
Yeah. And that's going to be one of the interesting differences. Detroit blitzed more than, I think they were second. They were first or second in week 1 when it came to blitz percentage. So they blitzed close to anybody. Minnesota was second in zone coverage, exact opposite.
Yep.
They played 77% zone. So they run the same thing as the Eagles. It's going to be a lot of multiple fronts, umbrella coverage behind it. In theory, Jalen's not going to be able to run as freely as he did because guys are going to have their eyes on him. They're probably going to have Eric Kendrick spying him at times.
Yep.
So, this is a game where it might, be more pass heavy. And we're going to see zone coverage. There's going to be openings, obviously. And you saw so many blown coverages yesterday in the NFL, especially early in the season. So Jalen's going to have some opportunities to make plays throwing the football. Can he throw the football consistently? This is what we're waiting for. This is a zone team. This team plays more zone than the Eagles do. It's going to be zone, zone, zone. And in theory, you're going to have to throw the football a little bit to convert. Can Jalen do that consistently?
John, did we come out of week 1 with more questions and answers about this team that we had going in?
Well, it depends where you were with this team. I think I know where this team is offensively, and I said it's not a run first team. It's not a pass first team. It's a Jalen Hurts first team.
Wow.
Take advantage of what Jalen does well. And that's RPOs, and they did that to Nick Sirianni's credit. Look, the offseason's fine. The offseason's for Howie and Jeffrey to say, we want a high-octane passing offense, blah, blah, blah. Then go get Russell Wilson, go get Deshaun Watson. They couldn't do it. Now Nick's going to try to win football games. How does he win football games? You saw it last year. You saw it in week 1. I think you're going to see it tonight. I think ultimately, the Eagles probably win a close game, and it's probably going to be because Jalen Hurts makes a play off schedule late in the game. That's probably going to be the difference.
Hey, John, how would you go about trying to neutralize Jordan Hicks? I mean, I think he's one of the more underrated linebackers in the game. He had 14 tackles last week against Green Bay. When he's on the field, all he does is make plays, forces turnovers. Is there a definitive way to neutralize him in the middle?
Yeah, the Eagles haven't had a linebacker like Jordan Hicks since Jordan Hicks. The only issue with Jordan Hicks when he was here, he was injured a lot, and he's managed to stay healthy since he left. And he keeps making plays. He sacked Aaron Rodgers last week. He forced a fumble. You mentioned the 14 tackles. He's a great pass coverage linebacker. These are the two best pass coverage linebackers, the best duo in the NFL. Kendricks might be the best. And Jordan's up there. So that's another sort of issue that the Eagles might have. They're both playmakers. I don't know. I'd run right at him. You have arguably the best offensive line. They're undersized linebackers, not as bad as the Eagles and Kaiser White, but this isn't TJ Edwards either, as far as holding up against their pass coverage linebackers. So I would try, but the running game's going to have to be more conventional this time because of that zone coverage. So it's going to have to be handing the football off to Miles Sanders, Kenny Gainwell, Boston Scott. But I still think the Eagles will be able to run the football well because of their offensive line.
That's great that you said that, because a lot of people are not taking that to. It shouldn't be run plays called or read options and all that stuff. Just take it out and play good old-fashioned, hand the ball off, maybe get an I-back formation, put one of those tight ends at fullback or something, and just run down their throat. Don't try to, make it look cute or anything. Just old-fashioned, I'm going to hit you in the mouth, lead back, zone football, man. And they can win the game if they do that, because they're smaller guys. They get pushed around a little easier. I mean, that should be the way they win this game, man, by just hitting them in the mouth, man. And that's exactly what they need to do.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, the Eagles are the top running team in football. Minnesota's been bottom 5, and one of the reasons they're bottom 5 is because the linebackers are undersized. Now, they did get Harrison Phillips from Buffalo, who's a really good player, but that's about it.
Smith. They got the Zadarius Smith.
Yeah, but Zadarius is a pass rusher, so is Neal.
That's true.
They're pass rushers. And by the way, Zadarius Smith is the guy. He can wreck a game.
Yeah, he can.
He lines up all over the place. So, people say, well, Lane Johnson is the best right tackle in football. Well, they're going to go find Isaac Seumalo with Zadarius.
Aiden Hutchinson, like they did.
He will move all over, inside, outside. He's one of those players that can wreck a game, but the Eagles are aware of it, and we'll see how they handle.
Hey, John, I'm glad you brought that up, because I'd been discussing with them earlier. When you look at Hassan Reddick, and Dan Cilio brought up a good point last week about why do you think Hassan Reddick is on his third team in 3 years, said he can't defend a run. He's a pure pass rusher. Okay, 23.5 sacks. You can't argue that. Would you move him around more the way they move around to Michael Parsons, Zadarius Smith, players like that?
Yeah, I would if he can. I don't know if he can do it, but that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Like, if you sit there and try to rush Hassan Reddick on Brian O'Neill, it's not going to go well. If you move him inside and try to take advantage of Bradbury, it might work really well. So I would like to see the Eagles do that. Two things. I haven't seen them do that much. They did a little bit, and I don't know if Hassan can do it. I've seen Zadarius do it with Green Bay for years. But if he's capable, because there are certain guys, and again, you'll see it with Zadarius himself tonight, because Lane Johnson's not a good matchup for anybody, basically. And they're going to move him. They're going to move him off that matchup. So let Lane waste his time with DJ Wanham or somebody like that. He's not going to beat him anyway. And if Zadarius Smith, you can find something with, whether it's Dickerson, Seumalo, you try to go about it that way.
John, who wins it? Who wins this game tonight?
I think the Eagles are going to win close game late. I think Jalen Hurts is going to make a play late. I think it's going to be, typical Jalen Hurts, off schedule. Not, he's going to make a back-breaking run, maybe a late Jake Elliott field goal, puts the Eagles over the top.
Okay. All right, John, listen, man. And we know we'll be able to catch you on the post-game show tonight with that guy, Derek Gunn, you might be familiar with Mike Missinelli, with Devin Caney, I don't know, some guy I've heard of him.
I need a nap.
So I feel you, brother.
Both of you guys, get your power nap, your beauty sleep, all that good stuff that you need to get. And we're looking forward to it. And of course, each and every day, Birds 365 with Jody Mack at 8 a.m. John, thanks, man. Appreciate a couple minutes.
Thanks.
Enjoy the game, brother. Yep.
All right, you got it. That's John McMullen. You also catch his work, JAKIBsports.com as well. All right. So 2 things to look forward to. We come back, we'll continue with the NFL discussion. Major injury yesterday, which we will dive into. Some of the other games, some of the great comebacks, the Cardinals game against the Raiders, the way that thing went was just sick. Dolphins and the Ravens, the Jags, all kinds of stuff. We'll do that when we get back. At 2 o'clock, we will dive into our player predictions for tonight. For example, Jalen Hurts will throw for, Jalen Hurts will run for, A.J. Brown, Kirk Cousins, etc. We'll do all of that at 2 o'clock as well. Philly's a little bit later, some good birthdays, some good movie releases on this day as well. So we got a lot more in store. We'll continue with the NFL talk. Don't go anywhere. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks, Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. All right, let's discuss Razor Technology. Yes, Razor Technology's comprehensive managed service provider solutions deliver constant monitoring, on-demand assistance, and rapid issue resolution. Through data-vetted and insight-driven implementation, we strengthen our existing IT resources with both human power and expertise that reduces security risks and downtime while enhancing organizational efficiency and productivity. We are a strategic resource for adaptive and fast-growing companies that need help selecting, implementing, and managing their IT services. Our goal is always bigger than one project, one problem, or one upgrade. It's improving the overall functioning of our partners and helping them achieve through their business objectives through ongoing synergistic relationships. Give your IT team the freedom to refocus by augmenting their reach with Razor Technology. Contact Razor Technology today to learn how our managed services can protect and enhance your business by calling 866-797-3282. That's 866-797-3282, or visit us online at razor-tech.com. That's razor-tech.com.